Hello and welcome to Mentors Coaching FM, the show that helps you tame the business beast and build a marketing machine so that you can focus on helping your clients get the transformation you promise. I'm Gail Seymour, founder of Mentors Coaching, the results-oriented growth platform where learning providers of all stripes can create and deliver courses and programs that handle scheduling, payments and delivery all in one place with no monthly fee. Just a simple, low commission structure that means if you don't earn, you don't pay. Hello. And so today I have with me Nicky Billou. Nicky is the author of international best-selling author of books Finish Line Thinking, How to Think and Win Like a Champion, and The Thought Leader's Journey, A Fable of Life and the Power of Connecting, How to Activate Profitable Relationships by Serving Your Network. Now, Nicky's here to talk to us today about how to access your hidden network and how to network in business. So, Nicky, before we go any further, if you'd like to introduce yourself in your own words, tell us a little bit about who you are, how you got to be where you are. Give us your story in just a few minutes.
Thank you, Gail. First of all, it's a pleasure and an honor to be here on your show. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. I'll tell you a little bit about my backstory. So I'm actually originally an immigrant from the Middle East. I'm actually a Christian from Iran. And we were talking offline. The first country we came to after we left Iran when I was just 13 years old was Greece. So it's kind of a wonderful little bit that you and I have in common. And when I was a boy, when I was around 11 years old, the Islamic Revolution took place in Iran. And my late father, God rest his soul, he could really see the writing on the wall, that this was no longer going to be a great place to raise his Christian family. And so he planned and eventually took us out of Iran and brought us to Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And I thank God every day for my father's foresight. Because of him, we left tyranny and we moved to freedom. And I don't know, Gail, if you've been following the news about what's happening in Iran. Just a few weeks back, a young woman, just 22 years old, she was in the flower of her life. Her name was Mahsa Amini. She was outdoors with her hair partially uncovered. So in Iran, if you're a woman, you're not allowed to go outdoors with your hair or skin showing. Think about that. And this young woman was arrested by the so-called morality police and beaten to death. Why? For the crime, quote unquote, of being outdoors with her hair uncovered. And since then, there have been literally hundreds upon hundreds of young women and even girls, teenage girls, that have been brutally murdered by this regime. They've thrown so many of them in jail. They're now starting to execute them. And, I know there's some people in the West who like to fashionably say, oh, the UK, Canada, the US, very oppressive, very racist, very sexist. And I'm not going to pretend here that our nations are perfect by any means. But are you kidding me? These are the most tolerant places on earth. Are you kidding me? Come on, let's have some perspective here, and let's not let people try to force us to lose sight of that fact. And my father, he was a champion of freedom, as am I. He believed in freedom, in free expression, and free enterprise. And he was an entrepreneur. And he was the greatest human being I've ever known. He was an uplifter of people. Like, if you knew him and you were looking for a job, he'd find you a job. If you were trying to start a business, he'd help you start a business. Even if you were going to compete with him, he didn't care about that. He just wanted to help people. And if you worked for him and you wanted to buy a car or a house or an apartment and you didn't have enough money, Dad would fund the difference so you could buy that car, that house, or that apartment. And you might think to yourself, whoa, who does that in this day and age? Well, first of all, the late, great Napoleon Billou. And why would he do that? Well, first of all, he was a Christian man, and he was quite devout, and he believed he'd been blessed by God, and it was his duty to share those blessings. And I know that may sound, a little bit cliched, but it was the honest truth of how he thought. And secondly, he did it because he could. He was successful. He had the money, as a successful entrepreneur. I, as a young boy, I looked up to my father. I wanted to be like my father, and eventually I became an entrepreneur too. And here's what I wanted to do in my work is help other entrepreneurs. I just think entrepreneurs are society's greatest heroes and sheroes, and they're the ones who go out there and put their dreams on the line to help other people's dreams come true. And I got this vision that we're gonna have a world where there's 1 billion men and women that are entrepreneurs, that are making at least $1 million net worth for themselves. I mean, you think about that, what a world we'd have if that could become a reality, And so for me, that's really, in a nutshell, my backstory.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing that with us. Now, I'd love to have a conversation with you about the whole, being an ally for people. And so I know we're here to talk about using your network and to build a business and everything, but I'd really like to dig into that whole ethos of standing up, not just for yourself, but for people who can't stand up for themselves or who are in a position where they're disadvantaged, and how being an entrepreneur makes that possible. So how do you think that's fed into your mentality and into what you do? How much of it is based on being an entrepreneur, and how much of it is based on the allyship, if you like?
Well, let me put it to you this way. I think that everything good in our world is as a result of someone having an entrepreneurial vision and taking action to make it come alive. Everything good in our world. Certainly the government hasn't been doing too much good in our world last, almost 3 years with these crazy lockdowns. And I understand that when, everything first came to our attention, maybe that was a prudent thing to do. But it was pretty obvious after a while that it wasn't necessary to go all the way. But these government people, they just love the control they had over us. Oh, let's force these people to wear masks. Let's force them to stay indoors. Let's see what else we can force them to do. It was nuts, but entrepreneurs are the folks who stand up and go, okay, let's find a way to make this better. So the fellow who created Zoom, where you and I are on right now, I mean, he made it possible for people to do business during this time. And he made a lot of money. Good for him. All kinds of people have done pretty amazing things through entrepreneurship. That's why I'm a champion for entrepreneurs. And I'll tell you, one of the first things I noticed in the world of entrepreneurship is there's a lot of good folks there, good men, good women, who are just, wanting to make a difference. You know what I mean? They want to help other people. That is their first and foremost thing that leads them to move forward. Unfortunately, they're not necessarily business people, and they don't know how to do business, and they mess a lot of things up. And one of the things they mess up is marketing and sales. So in sales, they're like, okay, I don't want to be pushy. I don't want to be salesy. I don't want to reek of commission breath. So I'm not gonna push. And so they don't go after that sale. And because of that, the focus is on how they're going to look and not the pain that customer is in. So that potential customer won't do business with them. And that hurts them and the customer. Hurts them because they don't make money, hurts the customer because someone who could help them solve a real problem doesn't do it. And then some charlatan marketer comes forward who's practically a sociopath and doesn't care if they deliver at all. And they'll just sell you because they're good at hitting pain points. But then they deliver nothing. So the sum total of goodness in the world goes down. And I saw this, man, and I just thought, wow, how do we help these folks? And I thought, well, okay, obviously their mindset around selling is what's not working. And what is it about their mindset that isn't working? Well, number one, they're putting all the attention on themselves and not their client. So I thought, what if we can help them reverse that and just focus on the client and not worry about, never mind what you look like and how you're going to come across, but put the attention on helping this human being in front of you, right? And instead of thinking, I'm going to sell this person, I'm going to close them. No, I'm going to serve this person. I'm going to help them. Nobody wants to be sold. Gail, you don't want to be sold. I don't want to be sold, right? But you love to buy. You love to buy. I know you love to buy. And you love to be served by a caring person in that process. You with me?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So when that's the case, right, when we help people reframe that, then they take a stand for people and they don't, worry about themselves. And that's how they grow their sales. Now, I know it's easier said than done. I can tell you this, and you're not going to go out there and go, okay, I got it, my mind's fixed. That's not how it works. But honestly, that's what we've been able to teach people and help them do through our work and through the community that we have people be a part of. And that's how come so many of our clients have gone from suffering, making less money than they should be making, and being in that golden handcuff zone, making between 60 and 200 grand, and moving up to that, near freedom zone where they're making $250,000, $500,000, $1 million, even 2 million a year. And that's wonderful. That really is what we want to show people how to do. So the first thing you got to do is what I said. Remember that person in front of you. That's a human being. That's someone's, daughter. That's someone's mother. That's someone's sister. That's someone's brother. That's someone's son. That's someone's father. They have somebody who thinks they're a hero, and they have been disappointed by life, and maybe even disappointed by someone like you who promised them everything and delivered them nothing. And as long as you're doing that and focusing on that human being, then your chances of building a beautiful business rise exponentially.
Excellent. So I'm going to put you on the spot. I know you have all these methods and all the training and everything, and I'd like you to share where people can connect with you in a little while. But first of all, I'm going to put you on the spot. And apart from what you've already said about putting the customer first, could you maybe give us 3 to 5 really simple, actionable tips of how people can get out of their own heads and get out of their own way and start making those sales?
Yeah. So look, I wrote this book called The Power of Connecting: How to Activate Profitable Relationships by Serving Your Network. So I recommend everyone pick up a copy of this. It's, cheap, $20. And there's a whole complete blueprint of how to go do that. But your own network has $250,000 to $2 million in it that you're not accessing. I'm going to repeat that. Your own network has $250,000 to $2 million you're not accessing. Why? Because you are not having comprehensive conversations in your network on a daily basis. You're a human being. Business is not a numbers game. It's a people's game. Business isn't about money, my late father used to say. It's about people. Why aren't you talking to people every day? People are network. Gail, I bet you could make a list of 20 people right now and tell me, Nicky, I commit, I'm going to call one a day, Monday through Friday, between now and the end of the year. No exceptions, except maybe Christmas and New Year's, right? But I'll do that. You'll get a hold of all of them by then, and you'll have wonderful conversations. And if you ask some strategic questions in that regard, there will probably be between 2 and 7 of them that are prospects for what you do. Right? And then you got to come from a give first mentality and go to those people and go, how can I help you? What do you need? Who do you need to meet? Who can I connect you with? And if you have that attitude toward life, Gail, I'm telling you, you are going to have people be interested in you and who you are. And the people that are hurting in the way that you really understand and know how to solve, they'll end up doing business with you, Gail. And that's what you got to do. You got to call people in your network, and people who are in business and want to know, well, what is something actionable I can do today? Pick up the phone and call someone in your network.
Excellent. Anything else?
Yes. You need to look at your messaging, your marketing messaging. If your messaging is like a Mayo message, you try to have the same thing and try to reach everybody, it's not going to work for you. It's just not. I'm going to share you a story, Gail. There was a fellow, he was a young fellow, and when he came to see me, he was a personal fitness coach. He was a good fellow, Gail. The kind of fellow, your mother would want you to bring home and say, that's a good fellow, Gail. Keep dating him, marry the fellow. He's a good dude. He's the right kind of fellow. He just wanted to help people, but he was a terrible businessman. You know what I'm saying? Just terrible, awful. Like he had 7 clients and he made so little money. He made $1,200 a month in Toronto, where I live, which is like the New York City and the London of Canada. You know how expensive those cities are. That's how expensive we are, right? And so when he came to me, I said to him, all right, buddy, let's help you fix this problem. How many clients do you have? He said 7. How much money are you making? He said 1,200, 1,300 on the average month. And I said, okay, so who's your client? Oh, Nicky, I can work with anybody, buddy. I go, what? I can work with anybody. Like, I can help them get fit. I can help them lose weight. I can help them go into competitions. And I'm like, no, you need to narrow your focus. He says, but really, I can work with anybody. And I'm like, oh my God, anybody with a wallet and a Paul Stanley boy? That was his name, Dan. And he said, oh, that's a good one. I guess so. And I'm like, no, narrow. He said, all right. I'm going to work with doctors. My dad's a doctor. I love my dad. Good start. But then what he said next was, doctors make a lot of money. And I'm like, oh God, no. That's not a good message. I love my dad. He's a doctor. Doctors make a lot of money. And it didn't work for him. And I go, Danny boy, we need to fix this. He goes, okay, can narrow my focus some more. I got it. Cardiologist, narrow focus, make more money than doctors. I'm like, oh God, he's not getting it. And it didn't work out. And then finally, Gail, he's like, he starts working with this fellow. Like, the good Lord sends him through serendipity. This fellow who's like this fellow is what do you call it? A Paralympian. He had a missing limb. You with me? And he loved working with this fellow. They did great things together. And the fellow went off to some competition and won some medals. So Danny was just feeling amazing. And he comes to me, he goes, okay, Nicky, I think I'm finally getting to stop going after the money, start going after really wanting to do something that helps people. I want to work with people with missing limbs. And I said, Danny, now you got it. All right. In 6 weeks, he signed up 400 clients. 400.
Excellent.
400. He had to change his business model. And then on top of that, Gail, he also added not 1 0, but 2 zeros to his income. He went from 1,200, 1,300 a month to over 100,000 a month as a personal fitness coach. You have the fitness coaching making you that kind of money? Because, before him, I hadn't. And why did that work? First of all, he stopped making it about the money. He started making it about the people. Secondly, nobody else was going after these folks. Everybody thought, oh, people with missing limbs, they can't work out, forget it. But Danny knew better. And his message was, you can work out, you can get strong. You can be just as good and as strong as an able-bodied person. You can do anything anyone else can do. Can you just imagine how great a message that is for folks that are, disabled, missing a limb? It was an amazing message. They bought into it because, their self-talk probably wasn't that they could do anything. And Danny helped them shift that. It was a wonderful transformational thing.
Excellent. That's fantastic. And my sort of go-to explanation when I'm trying to get people to think about niching down is the example I use quite a lot is blind skydiving, because you think it's something that people that just doesn't happen, but there is actually a sizable community of blind skydivers, and it's just the juxtaposition of two things that people tend not to think go together.
Exactly.
That do. So yeah, perfect. I love it. So, my dear, before we wind up, I have 2 more things to ask you. The first is, if somebody wants to get in touch with you and somebody wants to work with you, what are the best ways to do that?
Well, I'm all over social media, and you can go on Amazon and you can see my podcasts and my books if you want to pick up a copy. Just anywhere on Amazon or social media will work for that. But if you want to have a conversation about your business and how to take it to another level, maybe you're stuck, maybe you're not stuck, or maybe you're working too hard for the money you're making and you want to work less hard and make more money, then I've got a link you can get on my calendar with. It's eCircleacademy.com/appointment. And that's the best way. There's a little screening questionnaire beforehand. We just want to make sure you're a serious business person. And as long as you fill that out, you can pick a time to get on my calendar and we'll have that call. So do it. And I recommend you do it, honestly, if it's the time of year where you ought to be looking at that sort of thing.
Absolutely. And the final question I like to ask everybody, just to make sure we've covered all the bases, is there anything that I didn't ask you that you would like to share or say?
Look, we're living in times that are a little bit uncertain right now, Gail, and maybe a lot of people are wondering, can I succeed? Can I thrive? And they're wondering how it can be done because they see all kinds of, recession, inflation, all kinds of terms being thrown at them by the media. And you absolutely can. Remember, recessionary and inflationary times are the times where some of the greatest fortunes in history have been made. And you need to make sure you're around a conversation that empowers you for thinking that way. So keep listening to podcasts like this, keep listening to my podcast. And as I said, if you're feeling that my business is not going in the right direction, I don't know how to turn it around, I don't think I can turn it around, then definitely you want to jump on a phone call with me so I can show you different. I can help you believe again. And if you don't feel you can believe it right now, you don't have that belief, then borrow mine for a while until yours comes back.
Excellent. Thank you so much for your time today. Hopefully we'll be able to get you back and have another conversation sometime not too far in the future. So I just want to say thank you for that. And